and it spreads like that. Okay, so kissing, for instance, head on head, lip on lip, nose to nose. You can imagine the load that can go across. Okay, now, but let's put all this in a context of about 3 or 4 scenarios.
Right. Yeah.
Good. So a couple lives together. For some reason, nobody goes out for any reason, which is the most ideal thing in this situation.
Self-quarantined couple.
Okay, then no problems at all, provided the general universal precautions are up: hand washing frequently, the sanitizers, the social distancing things. Good. In that case, we don't have too much of a problem. But you know that scenario hardly exists, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, another couple has one person goes to work. Goes to work in what kind of environment? Immigration officer, customs officer, healthcare worker like Vanessa. Okay. So that, or a front desk person who's receiving guests from anywhere else, or top business executive who goes meeting business partners from all over the world. That is a high risk partner in this situation. He's likely to come into contact with an asymptomatic carrier, which we are beginning to worry about a lot now, because there's some evidence that those people are spreading the thing. And so yesterday when I heard about that case in Kumasi, I felt really sad. You see, because the Lebanese, we're told, hasn't had any proven travel history. He just got up from home and walked up to a clinic. How did he get there? Who and who did he meet on the way? Who did he share a taxi or his driver? Who sat by him? The front desk at the hospital who received him. Hello, welcome. What is wrong with you? You know, I felt sad. Look, we can potentially attribute a number of cases that are potentially going to come from this source. Okay, and that's problematic. Which is why the call this morning to escalate the screening is perfectly in order. And fortunately, with the appointment of Dr. Ba, the former WHO director, things are going to take a lot of better shape now. We are definitely going to start doing some of the mass screening with the rapid testing. You know, the downside of the rapid testing is actually that because it tests for antibodies to the corona group of viruses. So if you've had some ties before, you may have antibodies in your system. So there's a tendency to be seeing a lot of false positives.
Right.
But I mean, to the extent that it helps us to deal with the bigger problem, it is okay.
Yeah.
You know, so with that, then the confirmatory test, which is the PCR we are doing now, will now sort out the real problems.
Right.
And it's going to be a lot more, unfortunately, than
we have to prepare for that.
Yes.
Thank you for that education. Now, one thing I'm curious about is how many others are worried about this whole thing about the practicality of being intimate in the face of coronavirus. Do you get patients who ask you about this? How often does it come up?
Well, thanks for the question, Kojo. It does come up because most people are worried, and it's not just about those who are going to be intimate with their partners. We have our parents that we live with at home, or our brothers. We have siblings. Some of us, people are in homes where there are 5, 6, and they all live in that home. And practicing that social distancing at home is almost near impossible, but it's something that we all have to try to do, considering the fact that we're all going to go about our various works. It's a good thing that the schools have been closed, but then what about those who are actually working? So you go out. I, for one, I'm a healthcare worker. I go to the hospital. I'm basically a frontliner, and I'm exposed to all of these things. And you just think about it. You come from work, and there's everybody at home who would be exposed to whatever it is that you may have acquired or gotten from work. So we all have to be on high alert, practice that hand washing. Make sure that when you come back from work, you've washed your hands. If you want to get intimate with your partner, it shouldn't be something that should limit you, but it should be done with certain caution or precautions, because you wouldn't want to affect your partner, and then both of you would then be sick.
So what kind of precautions can we take? I mean, you can both give us some practical examples, because you're both married, right?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Let's hear you.
So the practicality of it, like I'm saying, is almost near impossible, but we try to do our best by disinfecting the homes, making sure we don't repeat clothes which we've worn out in the day. Sometimes,
Right.
you go out with your jeans. How many of us wash our jeans after every wash? Jeans is something that we mostly wash after the third or fourth wear. So we try as much as possible to maybe put those clothes aside and then wear something that we can wash easily, so that we are able to take off all the germs. The hand washing is very important, and having an alcohol-based sanitizer with you at all times, because it's almost near impractical to say that after every handshake you're going to wash your hands. There isn't always that availability of running water and soap. So having a small alcohol hand-based sanitizer when you're walking about, or even in the homes, because you touch surfaces one place to the other and you have to sanitize your hand or quickly go wash your hands. And if you notice that you may be at risk, you go to work and you meet someone who coughed and you are not sure, it's only just normal or right to stay away from your partner for at least 14 days.
Wow.
Because you wouldn't want to affect that person. Like my Dr. Safoga mentioned, some people are asymptomatic who tend to test positive after some time, which is why we say that if you feel that you are at risk or you have been exposed to the virus, you have to give yourself or allow yourself some time so that symptoms can develop. That is, if you have indeed acquired it. So you don't affect everybody around you.
So this is the new reality. One trotro ride with somebody coughing in the back seat could result in 14 days of celibacy.
Yes.
For everyone in the trotro.
Yes.
But you see, we
reality.
also still need to be a bit measured.
Yes.
Okay. So like I said, in those scenarios, for instance, like she said, when you get home, you probably don't want to take your clothes indoors. Okay.
Right.
Why not get a laundry basket in the porch? So as you sanitize your hand, and you must have the sanitizer right at the entrance.
Yes.
2 days ago, my wife sent me back to go and sanitize before you get back in.
Wow.
I thought, that was really good. Okay. And so take off the clothes from this high-risk kind of jobs. Don't take them in. And like you're saying, if you were in that torture, I would say do same. Because hopefully, fortunately, the cough came from the back seat, so you may have hit your clothes from behind. Hopefully. And then, so do that. And then I think that it will be better to have a good shower before sex.
Yes.
Avoid kissing, we have said that. Avoid the pegs. So, my ladies, I'm afraid, if the pegs don't come, it doesn't mean anything is changing. It's just a corona thing.
Just have to blow Hollywood kisses at each
See
other.
what I mean?
you
So,
imagine?
let's take the
crap.
kisses out. Let's take the pegs out, right? It will be, you see, because there is some evidence that the virus can also be shed through feces.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
And so feces, when you clean, you never know where else anything else goes. So it's a good thing to have a good shower before, okay? And then wash your hands or sanitize again, of course, also before. And then can we avoid the use of hands during sex? Wherever the hands go, let's just avoid the hands, because you're going to touch your partner's head, hold it, bring it close to you. You're moving around.
I'm concerned. I'm actually already thinking of alternatives. I'm a problem solver.
Right.
So can we wear gloves during sex?
Gloves during sex. So it's time for sex. Give me my pair of gloves.
Yeah. Some disposable gloves,
Keep your hands in your pocket. I guess.
Well, you won't have clothes.
Well, I mean, yes. So take a good shower.
Wow.
Would have washed yourself adequately, and then right after, do a good hand washing.
Wow.
And also, because of that risk of fecal transmission, anal sex should be a no.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But on top of all this, staying faithful, the good old rules still prevails. Because you see, if you're somebody who is known for, or who knows yourself for casual sex, multiple sexual partners, you're the one who's like to go into
and
somebody
infect
and bring the problem.
Wow, very
So
important.
just a quick run through of what Dr. Sefoga has said. So when you get home, it makes sense to take off your clothes before you actually begin to interact with your surroundings inside the house. Straight into the bathroom, take a shower. It's important to wash down the shower after you're done. So actually scrub the bathroom, because if there's somebody who's going to shower after you, right? And then, but I'm looking at Vanessa and myself, and we both have braids, and I'm imagining the amount of viruses that possibly live in our braids right now.
Dettol spray.
It may actually become a thing where we're having to actually wash our hair all the time as well, because I'm sure they can become breeding grounds. And then in the process itself, try to avoid kissing. I'm so distraught at that. But try to avoid kissing, try to avoid too much touching, which then Dr. Sefoga actually makes it very the intimacy is kind of lost then, because then it becomes technical. Exactly. So how do we
There are some men rejoicing at the sound of that.
How do we keep the intimacy or build intimacy, because we're actually taking intimacy out of sex to stay safe?
Just before Doctor answers that question, let me open the phone lines. We'd love to hear your voice. 0302-216-541, 0244-340-437. Doc.
Yeah. I mean, it's an understanding thing. Anyway, we all need to understand the situation. The president has said it. We are not in ordinary times. So nothing else should be ordinary, including your sexual life. It shouldn't be ordinary. It can't be ordinary. So based on that understanding, we all have to play it safe. You know how people use alcohol to drive the whole thing? And I'm going to also say that, alcohol has a tendency to dip your immunity. So then, take a look at that. Okay.
So minimize your drinking.
You see?
Alcohol as mouthwash.
Does
that prevent a barrier? Does that prevent?
If it's
does that become some sort of protection so that you can actually make out?
The likelihood of you drinking that alcohol you're using to wash your mouth is very high. So just stay away from it.
But see, in the mouth, the virus is in the oropharynx. It's at the back of the mouth, towards the throat, and there the wash doesn't get there per se.
You gargle like
you don't really want to gargle alcohol, because if a bit drops into the lungs, that's a bigger problem than corona.
Now I have a question. I'll ask Dr. Vanessa. Are there certain sexual positions that will minimize the risk of transfer?
Well, I can't really say for a fact that there are, but I think this is a time to get super creative. So put on your thinking hat and then get super creative. Read a lot. Get to know what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Like Dr. Sefoga was saying, the risk of fecal transmission now has been proven. So maybe doing the doggy style let's try stay away from that.
Oh.
Could you're not happy about that?
At all.
Let's try. It's a time where we have to all sacrifice just for the greater good, basically, and we don't want to put our fantasies or our pleasures before our health. You need to be healthy. You need to have a good state of health before you can even enjoy such pleasures. So don't risk maybe a 5 or 10 minutes for a longer period.
Yeah, that's a very important point. In everything, prioritize health first. Okay. Right, well, the lines are open. 0302-216-541, 0244-340-437. If you have questions for our doctors, call through. We'll get you some answers.
Yes, but that said, let's keep it straight that good sexual intimacy has a place for relieving stress, and by so boosting your immunity. Okay. So it's a fine balance. We just want to do it appropriately in the era of COVID-19.
Right. So even if I've had a shower, I can't have doggy.
Say it again.
Hey, Kojo.
I'm just checking, please.
You probably could.
Yes.
So anyway, especially if both have had a good shower.
A good shower. Yes.
All right, let's take some calls. Bishop is in Asante Mampong. Bishop, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you too, Kojo. Hello, Kojo.
Yes, sir.
I know you will bring this topic up. During the week, you are talking about the 2 meter distance on the bed. So I know you bring this topic up today.
For your benefit, my brother.
But yes, I just want to say something. Just like we are stopping, we are asked to stop doing certain things in public and the rest. I think we should try as much as possible. So far as we go out and come in and the rest, if we are not sure of our contacts, I think we have to suspend some of these things until the problem is over. And we understand ourselves as, people who are into relationship, married people especially. You can choose to suspend some of these things because after all, you are married forever and ever. But there's one thing I want to suggest to you about washing of hands thoroughly under running water.
Yeah.
Always, I've been hearing this education, but we don't talk about the tap knobs. The contaminated hand that is used in opening that pipe. The virus might be settled on the tap knob. You wash your hand, finish, and think that you wash it thoroughly. You go back and touch that tap knob and close it. I think we have to look at this thing. Whilst you are washing with soap, use the same soap to wash the tap knob thoroughly too. Before at the end you close it. Otherwise, you think you wash your hand, you will still be picking the virus from the tap knob and thinking that you are okay.
Bishop, I have to thank you very much for making that point. We'll get some further education from our doctors on that in a moment. Let's go to Cape Coast. Here's Kojo. Good morning, Kojo.
Yeah, good morning, Kojo.
My brother, talk to me.
Yes, I disagree with one of your panel. I heard one saying we should practice celibacy in this moment. It is never true. Rather, we should hit it from the back, like one of your guys said, dodgy. And then that's the best precaution measures we can take. As for celibacy, no way. Thank you.
Well, thank you. But still prioritize your health over everything else, okay? Thank you for that, Kojo in Cape Coast. You can call us too, 0302-216-541. Does Kojo have a point?
Well, in somewhat, he does. The idea is to practice, let me put it this way, safe sex. So after a good shower, make sure you have had a good shower, your partner has had a good shower, and then you can get on with whatever it is you want to do. And having in the back of our minds to try and minimize the kissing and touching.
Right. Okay, that's important. Okay, let's see who else we've got on the line. This is Eric in Tamale. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Eric. We're listening.
Please, we haven't still heard any. Please, the northern parts of Ghana. We haven't heard anything yet. The borders are here. They are very porous. Last week, I went to the north.
If you can switch off the radio, just listen to me on the phone, okay? So that we don't have the delay. Switch off the radio and let's just communicate on the phone, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Eric.
Yes, because I was saying that the northern part of Ghana, the borders are too poor that last week my cousin went there, his phone got missing. He went through the same border, no checking, nothing. And up to now, how many weeks now, we haven't still heard anything about the northern part of Ghana. We haven't heard anybody being suspected of any case. We are just here. If you go out, everybody is doing everything the same way. Nobody say anything about it. Please, I need to know whether we are also safe here in the north.
That's an important question. Thank you very much for asking it. Yes, if you're in any other part of the country where you're concerned that there isn't enough information, let us know. Maxwell is in East Legon. Hello, Maxwell. Good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me too. Hope all is well with you.
We are wonderful. We can't wait to hear from you, though.
Yeah, so Kojo, looking at the situation at hand and the issue of social distance, I'm not with my wife as I speak to you. She's planning to come over this weekend. And maybe we plan to have or make love. And then meanwhile, he's saying that there shouldn't be anything like touching, kissing.
The doctors are saying that.
Doctors are saying that.
Yeah.
Very well. Very well. So then, are they saying that there shouldn't be anything like foreplay as well? Is that the case?
That's a good question. We'll get you an answer shortly. Here's Ishak in UPSA. Ishak, good morning.
Good morning. It's been a while.
It really has been a while. Thanks for calling us.
Yeah. For me, it's just a concern that I want to raise. I didn't tune in early. Melcombe Branch, Tishiningwa Road. I passed there this morning, but to be frank with you, I did not see anyone by the roadside with a sanitizer. Unlike you go to other places, before you hop in, you are giving a sanitizer. When you are coming out, you are giving a sanitizer. Most places, you are not giving sanitizer when coming out, but all places when you are going, you are giving. But I passed by Melcombe Tishiningwa place, and I didn't get it. I was shocked. So I'm just raising a concern. So I know radio gets resolved.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I have no doubt that Melcombe, who have actually put out some very useful tips to the public on how to stay safe and hygienic, I have no doubt that they are taking it very seriously. So if they've heard this, no doubt they will make their sanitizers more visible for everyone to benefit from. Selom is in Jamestown. Good morning, Selom.
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just want to look at the Ghanaian attitude. We have cerebrospinal meningitis at the north, killing a lot of people. We have COVID-19, the symptoms and a whole lot of things. Now, even if somebody is suffering for common flu and the person coughs in a trotro, I believe people will start suspecting and all these kind of things. When this cholera outbreak came, they taught us how to wash our hands and all these things. We human beings will never adhere to hygienic conditions. And we should look at the where these things are coming from so that we can live a hygienic life properly to avoid these things. If we put our hygienic things together, when you have this in Africa is here at the outside over there, a lot of consumption are meeting.
Hello.
A lot of consumption. They are meeting to find drugs to cure these things. I've never heard any scientist meeting any part of Africa to come together and see whether they can for once find a medicine to cure this thing so that Africa too will be mentioned somewhere. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you to all of you who have called us this morning. So quite a bit to react to there, right, doctors?
Oh, well, we want to practice in this day of the coronavirus safe sex, which I'm going to reiterate, to reduce the amount of kissing and touching. The guy spoke about foreplay, taking foreplay out of everything that we do. I mentioned that we should put our thinking caps on, so find other creative ways of how to entertain or get intimate with your partner without putting both of you at risk of the coronavirus. But you also have to look out your environmental factors. Where are you working? Do you think you're high at risk of contracting the disease? Are you putting anything in place to ensure that you do not bring anything home? And this is not just about coronavirus. This goes about every other thing that we do, because by doing or adhering to these safe practices, we're not just preventing coronavirus, but also preventing other diseases that we may or we would contract if we just do anything as we want. And with the advertising or education, health education is very important. This should have started way before we even had a single case here in Ghana. But unfortunately, the impact of health education was not as it is now. It should have been something that should have started a long time. But we heard on the news that Africa is not affected. There are no cases in Africa. But now you look at the corona map of Africa, and almost every country in Africa is affected. And I think there was a period where they said the black man could not be affected by coronavirus. And it's a shame that we got comfortable in that state and did not really do anything to make sure that it was not even in our country. We forget that it is a global world. We have people moving in and out. The first case that we got in Ghana was not even a black person, but now we have other people who are Ghanaians who have been affected by the disease. So we should have done public education or health education very extensively before then, but unfortunately it didn't happen, so we're here. Now what are we doing? The public awareness, the education on coronavirus I'm actually impressed now because almost everyone seems to have an idea of what coronavirus is. What are we doing about the rural areas? Are we making sure that they're getting the information? I'm here sitting down speaking in English. Someone is probably just, what is she saying? What are we making sure that these things are being translated into the languages of various people for them to understand? What happens to those who are blind, the deaf and dumb, who cannot even hear? So we have to put a whole lot of things into perspective. It's not just about holding a placard or coming to sit on radio to say that coronavirus, do this, don't do this. How practical is it? Like the intimacy bit, it's almost near impossible to say that I'm going to keep a 1 meter or 2 meter distance from my husband or my wife for 14 to 21 days, but it's a sacrifice we all have to make. We have to be our brother's keeper. If you keep your environment clean or your house clean, no man is an island. Nobody lives by themselves. If you're an island, then we can understand that, okay, it's just you in that area. But no one is an island. We all live in communities. We have to make sure our neighbors are okay. Our neighbors are keeping safe, because you can have all the education, and if your next door neighbor has no idea of what is going on, the chances of you contracting the disease from them is even higher.
Right. Dr. Sefoka.
Yes. So, like you said, I mean, we are not saying no foreplay, but like Dr. Vanessa said, be creative. Yes, be creative. Find ways. And of course, if there is a mutual understanding, we all know what we are dealing with. So that understanding is mutual. We find ways around it. It shouldn't be as bad, okay? But let's also show the same love through other means. Yes, why not? Buy her chocolate, bring her flower, do something else to show the love that you can't show by caressing directly. Because we say try to avoid the interperson sexual contact as much as possible. So some people even suggest video. You know, it will get to that. It will get to that.
Video.
Yes, is one of the suggestions. But the thing I also
would you like to elaborate?
Use your imagination.
Thank you, Enimo.
So please, we have members of the audience who are quite new to this concept of imaginative sex. They follow a formula. So please, if we are saying video, what do we mean? Vanessa, video. What?
Well, with video, maybe imagine. Let's just put the scenario where unfortunately your partner has been diagnosed with coronavirus. You are definitely not even allowed to go into the same room as the person. So what can you do within that period? Not everyone has access, unfortunately, to a mobile phone or something that allows you to video chat or to video call. So when Dr. Sefoga says allow for video, if your partner is in quarantine, maybe because they are exposed or not even because they've been diagnosed with coronavirus, they may have symptoms of it, so they've been put aside for a bit. Call the person. You do a WhatsApp call. You don't necessarily have to be intimate on that call, but make sure the person knows that you are there to support them, because it's important to have that element of support should you have any symptoms and be quarantined, because it already takes a toll on the emotional health of the person to know that I may possibly have the disease, or I have been diagnosed of the disease, so I have been put in quarantine. So whatever it is that you would do as a partner or as a family to keep that person who is in quarantine very comfortable, you do that. You make sure that that person is comfortable with whatever it is. Chat with them every now and then whenever you have a free time. Send a text message. Just text. Keep the person interactive, because that person is just sitting down there by themselves. They don't know what they're going to do. And when you go to work, you don't have to just ignore the fact that maybe your partner is at home or also at their workplace. Now is a time where we all need that love, that support from every single person around us. Send a text message. How is it going at work? Hope everything is safe. Don't try not to. Have you used your hand sanitizer? Have you washed your hands? That could be a reminder. You may never know. Your text will pop up on the phone and be like, oh, I actually shook this person and I forgot to wash my hand. And the person would run. Be creative. Let us all develop some sort of creativity.
I love that.
We're not really bring out that. Maybe this is a time where we are supposed to go within ourselves and bring out the best of us.
Yeah, technology is going to play such a major role in our lives going forward.
Yes.
Right? But I really like that. You use technology for intimacy. FaceTime need not be just about your face.
Okay, not about your face.
Wrap up for us.
Right, and then you see, like we said, show love without necessarily being physically close.
Right.
And we want to you see, discourage the example of the actor who had a wife by him,
Idris Elba.
We discourage that.
Right.
Because yes, even if you want to show the love, you need to be safe and healthy. Then you can better take care of your partner.
Yeah.
So if your partner has a flu you are not sure and you can afford, don't share the same room.
But Dr. Sefoga, it's hard to see the person that you love going through something, and because that's not what we've been conditioned to think that's what love is.
But this is life and death.
But then the understanding should override that okay, hey, I need to show the love without physically being there.
That is tough love. So you have to be able to be there for the person without necessarily being there physically.
Right.
Doc, you wanted to say something to wrap
pregnancy,
us up.
Yes. So to wrap it up, we have advice for healthcare workers. We are the frontliners. We need to protect ourselves. So let's take what we've been taught as universal precaution extremely seriously now. And beyond that, when you think you are exposed to somebody, you are the best person to tell. And the healthcare facilities owe a responsibility to make sure we have the needed logistics, including the protection we need to be safe. And so let them be empowered adequately. It is time for the corporate world to come into support. Why can't corporate organizations now set up a fund to support this? We know our healthcare system. Facilities are in dire need. PPEs are running out. The central medical store is going to run out very soon. We need to also, at a national policy level, empower some private persons to import PPEs. I heard the medication dealers in Okansi are threatening to go on strike. That would be a disaster.
Wow.
So there should be action across board. If we keep banning the flight, medical supplies are not going to come in. So the general public are patient. When you come and we say we had booked you for what we call an elective surgery, but now that can't happen, understand that it is because the few supply of logistics we have, we need to sort of ration it on dire emergencies. If we use them on cold cases, then we are done. We're going to do surgeries without gloves or masks. Okay? Now there's been a concern about transmission from a mother who's pregnant to the baby. There hasn't been such evidence yet to support what we call the vertical transmission or mother-to-child transmission during pregnancy or the process of delivery. But what we know is that, China is where we are learning from. There were a number of cases, 3 pregnant women, and then who did not have the virus.
Right.
And then 3 others who had a virus. Of those who had a virus, one of the babies had it. But it is suspected that it was not through pregnancy. It was the baby now having a contact through respiratory droplets.
Right.
Okay. And we have tested the vaginal fluid. We've tested the fluid around the baby, the cord, the placenta, and those have been negative.
Right.
So a key issue comes to breastfeeding. So if a pregnant woman is suspected, then we say, and she wants to breastfeed, we need to have a discussion. If you want to breastfeed, we need to see how safe you can do that. The mother may need to wear a mask, and the time in between the breastfeeding maybe has to stay away. And if we can express the breast milk a lot more better done. And of course, we do that in the context of proper hand hygiene.
Dr. Promise Sefoga and Dr. Vanessa Mensah-Kabo. I have to get used to your new last name now. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you both ever so much for making the time to be with us for this all-important conversation. We're not done. We've got some friends stopping over in just a while. I'll tell you about them after these.
What would you do if you have the church?
Possibly for the emergency services in Ghana, like the police, fire service, NADMO, and anybody who calls the line will definitely get help from the 112.
Okay.
It was created basically because we want to synchronize all the emergency services, so that in case of emergency, you call that number and the first responders from these agencies will respond appropriately. And the number will help us provide effective emergency response to all situations of Ghana.
Right. So what happens to the old numbers, once this change? is done?
So the old numbers, that's 192 for the Ghana National Fire Service and 191 for the police service, is still in use until 31st March that it will fade off. And even if it's fade off, when you call 192 or 191, you'll be redirected that next time you call the 112 number. And we have call takers at every center to respond to your calls.
So why is this change necessary, since we already had 192 and 191? Why was this important?
So you realize that almost all the emergency service providers had different numbers. NADMO, for instance, had a 10-digit number, ambulance had theirs, police, fire, and all.
Yeah.
And so in times of emergency, you are confused. You don't even know what to do. And so the 112 is to unify all these emergency numbers.
Right.
And it is one that you can easily remember and dial, especially because it doesn't even attract any charge.
Great.
And it is internationally accepted as an emergency number.
Okay. So, I mean, if I have an emergency, I take my phone, I dial 112. What happens? What will happen when I make the call?
So immediately you call 112. We have call takers around that pay calls, emergency calls from the citizenry. These we've actually zoned these into 3 zones. We have the Accra Center, we have the Kumasi Center, and the Tamale.
Right.
The Accra cater for Cape Coast, the Volta region, and other regions. Kumasi cater for the Bono regions and other surrounding regions, while the Tamale Center caters for the 5 northern regions. So when you call, a call taker will pick your call and ask you basic questions that we need to ascertain the veracity of the emergency. So we ask of your name, the type of incident. So if it's a fire case or a robbery case, we ask all this information. Then we send it to the appropriate agency for dispatch. So if it's a fire case, we, after collecting the information, we send the case to the fire console, and the fire will do the dispatch from their end.
Right.
So basically, that is how the system works.
Okay, so quite a lot of important processes happen when the call is made. So tell me, what's the delivery time or arrival time if I make a call? How soon will someone come to my aid?
Okay, if a call is placed to the 112, depending on the location of the caller, for example, I'm using an ambulance as an example. If an ambulance is closer to the jurisdiction, the response time can fall within 10 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, but if where the caller is calling from is far away, that's why we will do more than the response time. That's the 10 to 20. But if the caller is closer to where the ambulance is, we can even do less than 10 minutes.
Will the caller be told how soon help will arrive?
Yes, the caller will be told. And whilst the caller calls for the ambulance, we will give some medical direction to the caller, what you're supposed to do before the ambulance arrives. So we also give medical direction at the dispatch center.
Right.
So for the Ghana National Fire Service, we have fire stations at almost every district in the country. So what we need is the proper location of the address of the fire. Most of the times we dispatch our appliance and our men keep roaming about and do not find or do not trace the source of fire. So we ask the public that any landmark which is closer to the place where the fire is, we ask for all those information so that our dispatch our dispatch time is within 5 to 10 minutes depending on the area.
Okay. How many languages do the call takers speak? Because not everyone speaks English.
And so our trained personnel at the call center, almost everybody is able to speak more than 2 languages, 2 Ghanaian languages.
Right.
And in a case where you even answer a call and you can't speak the language, quickly you transfer it to the person who is comfortable with the language the caller calls in.
All right. Yeah. And how do you have enough people?
Yes, for the Accra Center we have over 20 call takers. Kumasi and Tamale a bit less, but even where they are engaged, the system reroutes the call to any of the centers at either police, fire, ambulance, or NADMO center. But there's one interesting thing I want us to know. and that is the number of prank calls we received. From 28th January, when the ambulances were launched together with the 112, in total we received 1,902,926 calls.
Okay.
Out of this, proper police emergency calls were 5,859. Fire emergencies 2,040, ambulance emergencies 2,036, NADMO emergencies 38, and others 5,828. Prank calls 1,887,125.
No way.
So you receive 1.9 million calls and 1.88 million are prank calls.
No.
What happens is that they keep the line busy, and so when you need the emergency services, you call and the lines are engaged, and you say nobody is answering. But it's as a result of these prank callers. And so we appeal to the public that if you have no emergency, please do not call the 112 number.
That is an important call, and I thank you for making it. And I thank you all for making the time to be here with us for this all-important conversation. 112 is the new way to access emergency services. Of course, you've heard it here from our team. Daniel Asare, Kelly Kekeli Degre, and Mr. Gilbert Dancer. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure, as always, to bring you the super.
In a post, Waddle asserted that it will be a waste of time if he is voted as a member of parliament. The AMG business CEO said the former Musica president is a selfish person. He wrote on Twitter, "Please don't vote for this guy. He's a waste of time and a selfish person. Stomach politician." Well, those were the words of Chris Waddle, not mine. Chris Waddle has also promised to deliver free hand sanitizers to fans who live in his community in Tema. According to him, he will distribute free hand sanitizers to fans who are in need through courier services to help fight coronavirus in Ghana. He made the promise through his Twitter handle. He said, "Please, if you live around Tema and you don't have any hand sanitizer or can't afford one, let me know. I'm giving some away for free by delivery to help fight coronavirus. #COVID-19 Ghana." Well, I hope this is true, and I hope this comes to pass, and I hope he really does it, though. Actress Salma Mumin has also charged her fellow celebrities and Ghanaians in general to use local dialects to engage and educate illiterates about the coronavirus outbreak in Ghana. Since the outbreak, a lot of celebrities have been using English language to communicate to their fans. Now this, according to the hip-hop star Edem, leads to misinformation amongst the illiterates. In an Instagram post, Edem said that if you are a public figure, a socialite or celebrity, and you can make a local language video to help disseminate safety information, please do so. It looks like non-English speaking people are being misinformed. Good point. So, well, the last time I checked, before the reports started coming in, though, Ghana has recorded 11 confirmed cases so far, and been growing concerns amongst millions of people in Ghana. Some Ghanaian celebrities have taken upon themselves to help fight the disease by sharing videos and texts containing safety tips about the disease via the various social media platforms. But Sonny Badu and his wife had a different plan. Annie, Sonny Badu's wife, during a recent service at her husband's church, the Rock Hill Church, led prayers and delivered some powerful words against coronavirus. Well, let's hear her prayer.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we stand in your house and we plead for mercy. Have mercy on our children. Have mercy on our family members. Let the mercy of God move through the atmosphere. We pray for mercy, God. We pray for mercy, Jesus. Father, we beseech your throne tonight and we plead for mercy. Father, show us mercy. Father, show us mercy. Even if we are not deserving, Father, we ask for mercy. Let your mercy speak for us, God. Let your mercy go before us, God. We plead for mercy, God. Son of David, have mercy on us. God, have mercy. Jesus, have mercy. God, have mercy on your children. Have mercy, God. Lord, have mercy. God, we plead for dear God, show us mercy, Father. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Mercy indeed is what we're asking for. God, have mercy. It's tough around here, and you can imagine what will happen in case the outbreak gets even worse. So we thank you for the prayer, and as we also continue to pray individually, let us also remember to stay safe out there, wash hands as frequently as possible, and use hand sanitizers when running water is not available. If it's your birthday today, you share your birthday with iconic director of Malcolm X and Inside Man, etc., Spike Lee. Spike Lee is 63 today, so you got claims to fame. Go on and have a happy birthday. We'll go for our news at 11 and come right back with some more from the old school, though. Strictly for the seniors, I bet. Reach out to us on 0244340437. Our news at 11 is coming up shortly. So that's how we say goodbye. And so long. We'll catch you same time Monday morning, God willing. You stay safe out there. Keep washing hands. Practice social distancing. Use hand sanitizers. Educate the people around you to do same so we can help each other fight this COVID-19. No matter how stressed you are, remember how blessed you are. Many thanks to the Cosmopolitan Mix team and to you too who reached out, listened and enjoyed the show. We'll catch you same time Monday. God bless you. Have a good weekend. Thank you for listening. I'm Dory Nando.
Simple. If you say MTN Mumu, it keep life very simple. This trip for the you do 200%. Top up your airtime with your MTN Mumu wallet. A one a breakthrough the pie. Enjoy 200% bonus on any amount you recharge with your MTN Mumu. It's 3 times your recharge money. You can't believe it, me boy. Dial *170# to top up your credit and feel the 200% extension. For about the bra, then calculation the reality no. Tell me 2 Ghana cedis are. We are here 200%. Some top 5 Ghana, we are here 200%. Some top 20 Ghana, we are here 200%. 200% bonus. No, you feel our Ghana's best network. Dial *170#. Now call option 7. Now back home. Now you claim your 200% bonus. No, just Momo it. We there for you everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply.
Celebrating 25 years of impactful journalism. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from Joy997 FM in Accra at digital address GA0993341. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country including ATL FM, Cape Coast, Radio Max in Takoradi, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Kekeli Radio in Ho. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank Let's Go, and Telesol 4G, just a touch. And coming up, Ghana's coronavirus cases rise to 16. Cases include persons with no travel history, raising fears of community spread of the virus in Ghana.
Over the last 3 days, almost every day we get a case. So going forward, we may begin to grow positives exponentially, and that is becoming a very dangerous situation for all of us.
We've got details as officials trace 600 more people who may have come into contact with the infected individuals. Also, as worry about community spread of the virus heightens in Ghana, the NIA is still defiant undertaking registration of Ghana cars, but with a reason.
All public gatherings have been suspended.
All supervising registration officers are to ensure using appropriate queue management techniques.
We have a report on the situation in the eastern region. In the midst of the crisis, a community is struggling to find water.
Our main problem here is water. The source is very nasty. The young men wake up at night to fetch, and when day breaks, the source becomes very dirty.
And in sports,
former IBF bantamweight champion Joseph King Kong Agbeko calls on Ghanaians to treat COVID-19 with seriousness and adhere to safety protocols.
More with Hans Mensa Ando later. And later in the bulletin, Member of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee wants Parliament to suspend sitting if leadership is convinced MPs are not safe in the House.
And we meet here, we are more than 25. Meanwhile, other people are being arrested for flouting the directives of the President.
We're live in Parliament as the House rolls out more measures to protect MPs from the coronavirus spread. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Arba Kumson. Now, Ghana's coronavirus cases have risen to 16. All 5 were reported in the Greater Accra region, while 2 were imported cases. 3 of the patients had no history of travel. Experts are warning a community infection will have consequences for the nation. My colleague Fred Smith, who's head of our health desk here, has details of the cases. Fred, we were at 16. The cases have jumped. We were at how 11. Many do we have? 11, and the cases have jumped to 16. Indeed. We're learning some of the people had no travel history, pointing to a community spread of the coronavirus.
Indeed, 3 of such people were part of the 5 that were reported this morning. 29-year-old Ghanaian lady, resident of Accra, no history of travel, sample confirmed positive in a laboratory. That's the first of the 3. The second is a 34-year-old Ghanaian lady who is resident of Accra. Also, the contact of a confirmed case at a place of work. The sample confirmed positive in the laboratory. And the third is a 53-year-old Ghanaian male, the resident of Tema. No history of travel, no evidence of close contact with confirmed cases, and the sample confirmed positive in the laboratory.
That's very disturbing. But we know that there are some imported cases too. Tell us
Indeed,
about that.
2 of them. 41-year-old Ghanaian male, he arrived in Ghana by KLM on the 15th of March 2020. Indicated exposure with family members in Amsterdam and exhibiting respiratory symptoms, and also on the flight with some passengers sneezing and coughing. Sample confirmed positive in the laboratory. And the 5th person is a 36-year-old Ghanaian male resident in Paris, France. Date of arrival in Ghana is not confirmed, and there's no evidence of contact with an infected person. And this brings the total to 16, as you said, Arba.
Let's look at the global situation. What do we know so far?
Well, yesterday around this time, I reported the total to be around 220,000 cases. 24 hours on, it's ballooned to 240,000 cases globally, with more than 10,000 deaths. More than 86,000 have recovered, though. In Italy, they have recorded 41,000 cases, about half what China has recorded so far. But deaths in Italy are the biggest around the world at 3,400, and roughly 200 more than China has recorded so far. The cases in Germany, Iran, and Spain rose to more than 15,000 each. Cases in the US also increased past 13,000, while the number of deaths hit 200, forcing the state of California to order a statewide lockdown. In Sri Lanka, it says they're delaying parliamentary elections initially slated for April 25. It also banned all incoming flights for 2 weeks, and on Wednesday, also they imposed a curfew on some areas. So far, there have been 59 cases of the virus in Sri Lanka. Finally, Nigeria, the National Identity Management Commission has ordered the immediate shutdown of enrollment centers in Lagos, Katsina, Ekiti, Ogun, and Anambra states as part of preventive measures against the spread of the virus.
Many thanks for those updates. Fred Smith is head of our health desk. Now, let's come back to Ghana. The health minister says the country is in what he describes as dangerous times as officials trace 600 more people who may have come into contact with the infected individuals. He said this when the Ghana Commercial Bank donated 100,000 Ghana cedis to the ministry.
We have a number of over 600 people from interviews with them, those who have been tested positive. We keep on asking them who they had contacted, and I believe they might not even be able to give us the entire spectrum of people they might have met before we detected them to be positive. But for now, we seem to have got close to about 600 people that we are trying to trace to check on them whether they have already contracted the disease. And I know the number will be more. So over the next few days and weeks, we are anticipating that we're going to have larger numbers of people who are already having the disease. Over the last 3 days, almost every day we get a case. So going forward, we may begin to grow positives exponentially, and that is becoming a very dangerous situation for all of us.
So that's Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu addressing the press earlier today. My colleague Matilda Gavi, who's also a leading member of the health desk here at Joy News, was at the news conference. She joins me in the studio. Matilda, what else did the minister say?
So the minister says our health system is still very fragile, because countries with better system are still struggling with the situation. So there's a need for Ghanaians to take this very seriously. He also gave an update on those who have contracted the disease.
As at yesterday, they were all very stable. Some of them, I would say, are even recovering. And there are 2 of them we're treating at home. You don't see any signs of them again. But we may need to do some other tests before we discharge them fully. But so far, we don't have anybody who is critically ill or severely ill. Illness is mild, but you see some of them, it's like they are becoming very normal people.
You said we are anticipating more cases. How well prepared are we?
I don't want to be overconfident to tell you that we are well prepared. We are prepared somewhat to take challenges. But when you begin to get massive upsurge, you realize that your preparedness is nothing to write home about. Yes, that is happening in Italy, it's happening in America, it's happening in UK. So I will not use the word well, but we are prepared. These are some of the things.
So that's Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu there. But as the community spread of the virus begins in Ghana, the National Identification Authority appears defiant, going ahead with the Ghana card registration in the eastern region. This is despite the presidential directive against social gatherings in the country. There's more in the following report.
On March 15th, Ghana's COVID-19 case count rose to 6. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah announced some measures to check the spread. 9 hours later, in the night, President Akufo-Addo announced more stringent social distancing protocols.
All public gatherings, including conferences, workshops, funerals, festivals, and religious events such as services in churches and mosques, have been suspended.
Many institutions have since shut down. Schools, public and private, at all levels, from basic to tertiary, shut down. Despite a lack of legislation enforcing the presidential directive, the police in the Ashanti region were the first to crack the whip. They relied on an already existing legislation to arrest and charge a pastor for organizing a service. It was an unlawful assembly, the police said.
We are going to ask our patrolmen to go out there. Whichever church is found holding services or any other meetings will be made to face the full rigors of the law.
Although churches and mosques were to shut, nightclubs and pubs were only urged to operate with caution. But even these ones have begun shutting down, all in the interest of society. But the National Identification Authority is undertaking registration in the eastern region. It appears it may not have heard this directive, or is simply refusing to obey. Questions were asked, and this response was provided.
All supervising registration officers, SROs, are to ensure using appropriate queue management techniques, including numbering and appointment systems, that no long queues emerge at any registration center. Where queues become unavoidable, the officials should strictly adhere to the maintenance of the 2-meter social distance advised by healthcare professionals.
The GMA was the first to quickly call out the NIA, warning of massive spread of COVID-19.
If we are not lucky and people filter through the net and end up being positive finally, but have already spread the virus around, then the community, the NHIS staff themselves, and the entire nation will be at risk. And this is going to be very safe.
Ghana's case count now stands at 16. Shraj and some citizens are worried, and already a suit has been filed against the NIA.
If you tell the people don't go to church, don't bury your people because it will bring about crowds, we should send the same message concerning registration.
So in the nutshell, churches shut, mosques shut, pubs shut, nightclubs shut. But for the NIA, this is the reality. So how soon will the NIA heed calls from various quarters to halt registration with lives on the line?
And that was a news desk report. Let's go on the ground now. Eastern Regional Correspondent Maxwell Kudoko has been to some of the registration centers there, and he joins us on the line with more. Maxwell, give us a mental picture of what the situation is at these registration centers.
Well, by most of the centers I have visited, the exercise is going on in church halls. So the registration officers, mostly those who operate the verification machines and the other data officers, are in the church premises. And the registrants are asked to sit under a tent outside the church premises. Now, this is what is happening this morning. In the church premise, they have arranged chairs about between some centers have 5 chairs in a hall, others have about 10, others have about 20 or more. But there are about 5 meters difference between each chair. So they invite the registrants who are parked outside the church premises under a tent. They call them in numbers. But they have also given them numbers, especially those who came earlier. They've also given them numbers so that they follow that protocol. So that is what has been happening. The issue is that there is no crowd, as to overcrowding in the church premises. But outside the premise where the registrants are supposed to wait, there are a lot of people under tents waiting to get their turn to register. And then also many who also registered last week but have not received their card are also trooping in to also, as it were, come and collect their card. So even though there are measures to control the crowd, it is very difficult for the officials to control the crowd. At the Two Streams Center, especially the Pentecost Center, you could see the officials trying to prevent the registrant from crowding, but they wouldn't heed to that advice. So.
All right, many thanks. That's Maxwell Kudoko reporting from the ground in the Eastern region where the registration exercise is ongoing. Now, in the last few minutes, we've received a writ. Some individuals have filed a writ at the court, filing an application for the NIA Executive Secretary, Professor Ken Atefo, and others to be cited for contempt. My colleague Joseph Akablay joins me in the studio with details. Who are these people and what are the reliefs that they are seeking?
And so these are the 2 individuals who filed a case against the NIA yesterday. They also did make an application for injunction. Kevin Mark Oliver and Emmanuel Akumate Okra. In this particular application, they list the Professor Kenneth Atefo, Executive Secretary of the NIA, and William Kofi Bafomens at the head of administration, National Identification Authority. They say that these 2 individuals have acted in ways that are contrary to law and disobey the orders of the court. They explain that as far as they are concerned, once they filed for the injunction yesterday, the NIA had no business going ahead with the registration that Maxwell just spoke about. For that reason, they are asking that the court should find them guilty of contempt.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Joseph Akaplay with those details. And outside of Ghana, well, in Nigeria, the National Identity Management Commission has suspended or ordered the immediate shutdown of all its enrollment centers in Lagos, Ekiti, Ogun, Katsina, and Anambra State, as my colleague Fred Smith alluded to earlier. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for North Tongu, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, wants the Minister for Planning summoned over the ongoing registration by the NIA. He says the NIA CEO claims he is working on orders from above and the Minister needs to answer to it.
The program to appear before this House next week to give us a brief.
So that's MP for North Tongu, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, Helen Ntoso, wants Parliament to suspend sitting if leadership is convinced MPs are not safe in the House. Madam Ntoso says Parliament must show leadership by, I beg your pardon, adhering to the President's directive against mass gatherings.
No more than 25 people are supposed to gather. We are told that, or we've heard that 2 pastors have been arrested because they met in their churches to pray. And we as parliamentarians, we are legislators, we are supposed to set good examples. And we meet here, we are more than 25. Meanwhile, other people are being arrested for flouting the directives of the president. And we are more than, as we gathered here, we are more than 60 this morning. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we are not being fair to the people of this country. If we are legislators, we are supposed to set good example. Yesterday, there were too many visitors, especially the tea and coffee shop, that were seated there, and I was wondering whether we are actually addressing this situation of this agency situation that we find ourselves in.
So you have the Karachi West MP Helen Ntoso. Let's go live on the line and speak to parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gapo, because Parliament has rolled out more measures to protect MPs from the coronavirus spread. Joseph, what are these measures the House is taking?
So as MPs enter into the chamber, as well as members of the parliamentary press corps and even staff of Parliament, they are handed masks, nose masks, in order for them to put on. So on the floor, you see a lot of the MPs wearing the nose mask, although some of the MPs are taking advantage of that and drawing attention to the fact that they think things are not safe in the House. A key conversation has generated because the majority leader is requesting that MPs come to the floor tomorrow to consider some outstanding businesses, including the corporate insolvency bill. And they argue that if they are putting in place measures, one thing they should be careful against is continuous mass gathering, and that they should be taking a lot of rest. So they don't see the need for that, but they've been overruled by the majority leader.
And Joseph, what's the status of the imposition of restrictions bill 2020?
So as we speak, the Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs is meeting as they consider the various provisions in the bill. They are expected to come to the floor any moment from now with specific recommendations for amendments, and then the bill will be taken through second reading and possibly passed before the close of the week. That's the projection in terms of how they're hoping to treat it.
Joseph Opoku-Gapo, many thanks for that update. But the risk appears to be everywhere, and it's in the markets where traders are briskly doing their business. My colleague Manuel Coranting was at the Medina market, where he reports there's complete disregard for the social distancing protocols.
Understand? So even in China, they do business. So discriminating myself from my fellow brothers is just like I'm creating an enmity between them. Like and the sanitizer itself is not affordable. Before, the sanitizer is somehow like, the price is like 2 cedis, but now it's 16 cedis, 18 cedis, 40 cedis, 60 cedis. Even the glove that you do wear.
The thing is that, some of us cannot do with what we cannot do without what we are doing, our business. So, and if you ask us to go home and stay at home, it will be more difficult. So, coming together, you just need to be more hygienic. Understand? You have your sanitizer. You don't shake hands. As usual, you don't come together to speak so close. But to stop the business, it's not something going to be easy for us here.
And that report was filed by Manuel Coranting. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy997 FM. We're taking a break, but before we do that, our top stories. Ghana's coronavirus cases rise to 16. Cases include persons with no travel history, raising fears of community spread of the virus in Ghana. Also, as worry about community spread of the virus heightens in Ghana, the NIA is still defiant, undertaking registration of Ghana cards, but with a reason. When we return, we bring you details of a press conference ongoing in the Ashanti region, where health officials are giving details of persons who have been confirmed to have the virus.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
You're welcome back to the Midday News, and Hans Mensa Ando joins me with details of sports, and there's more coronavirus news.
Well, these days, even sports cannot run away from the headlines in relation to coronavirus. Now, former IBF bantamweight champion Joseph King Agbeko has called on Ghanaians to treat COVID-19 with seriousness and adhere to safety protocols. He spoke to Joy Sports editor Nathaniel Atto.
We have to take our safety precaution very serious. Washing of hands regularly, avoiding touching your faces and so on, and other safety measures, and we doing our possible best to abstain from it. You know, sometimes it's hard when you go to town. You meet some certain personalities that when they give you their hand, it's hard for you to turn it down. But it's a time that we have to take things serious and avoid touching, shaking hands. Even if the president comes face to face with you and mistakenly give you his hand, you have to stop it. So it's a time we have to. Ghanaians always take things for granted. You know, sometimes you go to some of your friends and they're like, no, this is not going to kill her, this is this, this is that. And I tell them, no, we have to take this serious. From the beginning, it wasn't in Ghana. 2 came, and then by the time we see we are 9. So we just pray the number goes down, and people will take their safety precautions very, very serious so we can shut this off this planet.
Away from Ghana, the World Snooker Championship has been postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. Jude Trump had been due to defend his title at the tournament, which was scheduled to take place from the 18th of April to the 4th of May. Organizers hope to reschedule it in July or August. The championship, the 17th and the final ranking event of the season, has taken place for 43 years running at the Crucible in Sheffield.
All right, many thanks, Hans Spencer Ando with sports. Now, the medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Srofenyo, says it appears there is a shortage of surgical masks and gloves on the local market, speaking after receiving some non-medicine consumables used to fight coronavirus from the Universal Hospitals Group and Ernest Chemist. He also stated that 4 COVID-19 patients at the hospital are in stable condition.
I can see, as I saw through the list, they have items like IV infusions, which we need for the patient. We also saw items like gloves, surgical gloves, disposable gloves, and some other hand sanitizers. And these are things that we need to provide service. So these items donated are going to be very useful in patient care, in delivery of high quality service to the patients.
Okay, do you expect more? Are you expecting more?
Yes, so we want to take advantage of this, your medium, to appeal to the general public, as I said earlier on, that the fight cannot be fought by we alone. It's a fight for all of us. And so to be able to succeed, we need everybody's support. Some of the items are very difficult to get, even in the market. Items like face masks, surgical face masks, which we normally use in theaters, and also those special masks that we call N95.
Medical Director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Srofenyo there. Let's head to the Ashanti region now, because in the last hour, the Regional Health Directorate has been addressing the press on 2 cases that they are managing there. Ohemin Teria is at that news conference. He joins us on the line. Ohemin, we do know that those 2 cases, one was a 59-year-old who reported ill and was taken to a private facility. We do know that she arrived from the UK after March 14th. We're curious about the second patient, who is a Ghanaian with no travel history. What are the details?
Yes, however, instead, he is a Lebanese who we are told is based in Kumasi but has no travel records. So the health authorities are warning that now community spread or the community way of tracking the disease is not far from us, and asking Ghanaians, especially those in the Ashanti region, to pay attention to every detail that health authorities have given as far as the coronavirus is concerned. Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, the Ashanti Regional Health Director, mentioned specifically that if you look at the trend of the disease what it means is that in the next 28 days, Ghanaians will see upsurge of the coronavirus cases in Ghana, but that shouldn't bring about panic among residents. What he says is that if we do and put our house in order, we will be able to contain the disease in the next 28 days.
All right, Ohiminteria is with our sister station, Insra FM, in the Ashanti region, bringing us details of that news conference in Kumasi a while ago. Now, as the coronavirus spreads, health officials advise that people wash their hands with soap. But in some communities, there's struggle to get water. Over 300 people in the Oti region community of Esuboi do not have access to potable water because the only borehole serving them has broken down. Correspondent Peter Senu has more in the following report.
It has been 8 months since Joy News last reported on the water situation and its unwholesome nature in the Asoboi community here in the KJB district of the Oti region. We are back to see if anything has changed. In fact, if anything has, it is the state of the source that has deteriorated. This time, the residents queue to fetch water in turns. One can spend as much as 30 minutes to get a bowl full of water. Again, one has to wake up as early as 3 a.m. in order to get water for any domestic chores. This, they say, sometimes degenerates into fisticuffs. Some of the women have been sharing their frustrations with Joy News. Our main problem here is water. The source is very nasty. The young men wake up at night to fetch, and when day breaks, the source becomes very dirty. We are appealing for a good source of water for use. That's all we need.
That's Peter Senu's report. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia says the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic is real, and he's encouraging imams and mosques to use social media as a tool to broadcast sermons to their congregants as a precautionary measure preventing the spread of COVID-19. Reciting and interpreting portions of the Quran at a breakfast prayer meeting at the Jubilee House today, Dr. Baumia called on the Muslim community in Ghana and beyond to respect local and international protocols to stay safe.
The threat of the coronavirus is real, and the suspension of congregational prayers are serious steps taken by Ghana and all these countries to protect people. During this temporary period of not being able to converge at mosques for the prayers and also listen to the weekly Friday khutbah, I would like to suggest an innovative way of delivering weekly sermons through social media to homes in the country by imams and mosques which have the capacity to do so. The khutbah is a most important aspect of our Jummah prayers and a real source of weekly inspiration to Muslims. So I would like to encourage imams and mosques across the country to consider this online innovation. While we observe our daily prayers at home and supplicate to Allah to save us from the coronavirus, it is essential we continue to strictly observe the preventive measures that have been announced to help keep everyone safe.
So that's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and he heard him saying that imams and mosques should use social media as a tool to broadcast sermons to their congregants. And speaking of social media, the NIA is trending on social media. Komla Adum, what are people saying?
Well, Araba, so hashtag Stop NIA Now. So John Terry tweeted, said a country that invests in a $100 million cathedral and not in medical research can only pray in times of a global pandemic and hope to profit from the lapse of countries that invest in science and technology. Hashtag NIA Stop Now. And Giovanni also tweeted, trying to wrap my head around all the possible reasons why this registration is going on at this time and still arriving at the same conclusion. He used some strong words there. Let me just take one more. This one, Baba says, yes, because of elections, you are allowing the NIA to continue working disregarding the safety of innocent Ghanaians. Be sensitive. Hashtag NIA Stop Now.
And let me add one last one. This is from Kwame, and his handle is @RickWord4You. He says, what shall it profit a man if he gets a Ghana card and loses his life? Professor Atefa.
Interesting one there. But just before we go, there's also hashtag COVID-19 Nigeria trending. Someone at Sponaki
tweet. He said, quarantine is godly. Now, you know why? It says, Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. It says, go home, my people, and lock your doors. Hide yourselves for a little while until the Lord's anger has passed. So quarantine is godly.
Shall we say an amen to that?
Amen.
And on that note, we end the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. Our top stories: Ghana's coronavirus cases rise to 16, and the cases include persons with no travel history, raising fears of community spread of the virus in Ghana. And as worry about community spread of the virus heightens, the NIA is still defiant, undertaking registration of Ghana cards, but with a reason. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Arbor Kumson. Good afternoon.
Inflation has a voice. Depreciation has a voice. Now, if you trust the situation more than Jesus, then you're going to believe what the situation is saying. And your whole life is going to be very depressed. But at the same time that situation is telling you you can't make it, there is another voice. The voice of the one who created the earth that you live in. The one whose voice upholds the universe. The reason why the earth is not crashing into the moon and the moon into Mars and Mars into another planet is because somebody's word is keeping everything in orbit. And that person says, I'm with you. And he says, call upon me and I will hear. If you ask me, I will do it. He says, if you speak to that mountain, be removed, it will move. Whose voice are you going to believe? Because the voice you believe in is the faith you have. The voice you believe in is the faith you have. All right. Now, so Jesus says, I'm going to do this. If you have faith, you can move mountains. If you pray, I would answer. How can we be sure that what he says he will do? 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 19 and 20. And it says, for the Son of God, Jesus Christ, who was preached among you by us, by me, Silvanus, and Timothy, was not yes and no, but in him was yes. And for all the promises of God in him are yes, and in him, amen, to the glory of God through us. So what does the scripture say? It says the promises of God is not yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Sometimes you pray and it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works. It says the promises of God are not yes and no. It's not yes and no. It's not gambling. Faith is not a gamble. But it says all his promises in him are yes, and in him, amen. Amen means it is so. So if he says, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world, it is yes, and it is amen.
Thank you for listening to Living Word. To interact with Pastor Mensa Otabil, like his page on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter @Mensa Otabil. Email otabil@centralgospel.com or call +233 302 688 000.
Motorcycles are also vehicles and so are governed by the regulations that govern all vehicles. Always ensure that as a rider, you obey the road signs and markings, stop at red light, and do not ride against traffic. Wear your helmet always. This Arrive Alive weekly message is brought to you by Joy FM, Joy News, and the National Road Safety Authority.
Multimedia Group Limited, in partnership with SES, KNET, and WillowAfric.com's e-learning project Willow TV, presents Joy Learning, a channel dedicated to providing educational content for all levels. The channel launches with a special focus on senior high school educational content because we believe in nourishing the minds of the future generation. Joy Learning is providing equal access to education, no matter whom you are and where you are in Ghana. Joy Learning collaborates with SES, KNET, and Willow TV to deliver a new learning experience. Study with Ghana's top teachers and lecturers on the Joy Learning channel, so individuals, senior high schools, community centers, and libraries get your multi-TV digibox now. Joy Learning. Keep learning.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Celebrating 25 years of Joy, it's time for the Joy Business Report. Coming up in this edition, Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors blames higher petroleum prices on insurance and deposit costs. We'll hear from the Chief Executive. Also, Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, locks up Apollo Steel Company over 6 million cedi tax default. And as the scourge of COVID-19 pandemic bites hard on global economies, we'll explore the real impact it's having on Ghana's economy in our business journal today. Hello once again. The Joy Business Reporter 1 is brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. I'm Charles Aite with the details. Despite a significant drop in crude oil prices on the international market, oil marketing companies in the country have not reduced the prices of petroleum products as expected by consumers. Justifying this development, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senior Hossi, blamed the cost of storage and insurance as a key reason why they cannot reduce prices further down. My colleague Ebenezer Sabote has more in this report.
Since the beginning of the year, crude oil prices have seen a persistent decline on the international market but has not reflected on the local downstream sector. As a result, consumers continue to push for a further reduction in petroleum prices. Chief Executive of the Bulk Oil Distributors, Senior Hossi, disclosed the oil marketing firms are using the opportunity to recover the lost margins recorded in previous years. According to him, the reduction in the international prices of crude is not reflecting locally because other cost factors have not changed.
The OMC has been shortchanged for 6 months, and the OMC is gradually reducing so that he can also recover a bit of it. What technically you are seeing them do is that, okay, when prices are supposed to go up, we don't really go up. We just keep it about the same. Now that it's come down so quickly, we will go down much slowly so that we can make gains to cover a bit of the holes in the past.
He, however, cautioned consumers to be measured in their expectations.
My supplier will collect 600. Don't say today it has come, so I'll give you a discount. It won't happen. So when things are dropping like that, you're also having a major risk. We call it backwardation.
The Chamber is urging government to reduce its intervention in the pricing of petroleum products since the country is practicing a deregulated market policy.
Away from that, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has locked up Apollo Steel Company at pawn for defaulting in tax payments to the tune of 6 million cedis. Debt Management Compliance and Enforcement Unit of GRA accused the company of failing to make payments since 2018, hence the closure. Leader of the GRA team, Alpha Senanu Hosu, spoke to Joy Business.
We have been authorized by the Commissioner General to seal off the premises or the factory of Apollo Steel because of a default in paying a tax debt. We are talking about 6 million Ghana cedis without penalties.
For how long have you?
My understanding is that the debt has arisen since 2018. So they are to immediately cough up